Good morning and welcome to our Weber County Commission meeting on this Tuesday, the 23rd of January. We have a full Board of Commissioners here. Seated to my right is Commissioner Sharon Bolos. To my left is Commissioner Gage Farrar, and I'm Commissioner Harvey. Our Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be by our Economic Development Director, Ms. Stephanie Russell. Followed by her will be our Golden Spike Event Center General Manager, Duncan Olson. He'll give the invocation. And then our thought of the day will be given by Commissioner Bolos. We'll go to that point.
Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this day. We're grateful for all the many blessings that we receive. We're grateful for the moisture that we have received. We ask a special blessing to continue to bless us with more moisture that we might be able to sustain our pastures, fields, lawns, and gardens. Please bless that we can go throughout this day in peace and safety and no harm or accident come upon us. Please bless the commissioners and elected officials that they might be able to continue to guide and lead this county in the right direction, that we might be able to have the best interest of the community in our thoughts. Please bless these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Bolos.
I think this is 2 weeks in a row, but I'm really
It is.
honored to actually have the thought of the day today, and I want to talk about joy. Over the weekend, we lost a friend and colleague, Linda Love, and as I've seen things posted on social media and had conversations with people, I've realized how much joy she brought to everybody, and I knew that she brought joy to me, and just took an opportunity to make everybody's day a little happier when they interacted with her. And it's a great loss for the front counter at the clerk auditor's office and a great loss for our community. And the thing I think about Linda is that it didn't matter if you knew who she was. She always, if she knew who you were, made you feel like $1 million. I had kids who went into the office and they'd say, well, there's some lady there who knows you. And she seemed like she knew me, and that was Linda. And she just always made people feel like they were worth something and brought a lot of joy and happiness and fun into everyone's lives. And I think we could all use a little more joy in our lives, and we could all spread a little more joy.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bolos. Yeah, so fitting. Linda was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Perfect thought. Thank you. I'd like to take for those in the galley and online, if you join us in just a moment of silence to remembering Linda, please.
I do.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrar, any comments right now?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Um,
Good to think of her.
Yeah. We're going to move to item E. Like Echo on our agenda, this is the time for the public to make comments that are related to items that appear on our agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Those of you in the audience, if you have any interest in commenting? Ms. Bingham, are there any comments online? Thank you very much. We'll move on to item F, which are the consent items as listed on the agenda as follows. Item number 1 is a request for approval to ratify warrants 9891 through and including 9932 and 481,652 through and including 41806 in the amount of $2,596,000, $2,596,186.15 dated the 16th of January 2024. Item 2 is a request for approval of warrants 9933 through and including 9963 and 481,807 through and including 481,902 and 327,331 in the amount of $3,159,480.95. Item number 3 is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $453,080.47. And item 4 is a summary of warrants and purchase orders. We'll move on now over to Mr. Taylor. Lynn Taylor, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We had 31 purchase orders totaling $453,000. Largest of these, 84% or $378,000, went to the Ogden Eccles Conference Center for concessions, contracted labor, linen services, other supplies, and maintenance. 11% or $50,000 went to the library for subscriptions, marketing, and supplies. For the January 16th warrants, we had 197, totaling almost $2.6 million. Largest of these, 22% or $576,000 to the transfer station for disposal fees, fuel, supplies, and maintenance. 18% or $466,000 went through WACOG sales tax for special projects in Hooper City, and 10% or $265,000 for corridor preservation special projects in Ogden City. For the January 23rd warrants, we had 132, totaling $3.16 million. 69% or $2.1 million were for medical insurance and disability payments, and 9% or $293,000 to the Fleet Department for capital equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Commissioner, is there any questions for Mr. Taylor before I proceed?
None for me.
Thank you. I'll move on to item number 5, which is a request for approval of minutes for the meetings held on January 2nd and 16th, 2024. Item 6 is a request for the Community Development Department for approval to surplus property identified as parcel 05, 136, and 0039. Item 7 is a request for approval of a master service agreement by and between Weber County and GVS that benefits for services of a benefits broker. Item 8 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County to Micah Meza for a commercial driver's license reimbursement. He's an employee, Commissioners. Item 9 is a request for approval of an amendment to the contract by and between Weber County and Andrew Haywood for the defense of indigent persons in juvenile court. Item 10, a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and GovOS for short-term rental monitoring and enforcement. Item 11 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and American Chariot Racing Association to hold the 2024 World Chariot Races at the Golden Spike Event Center. That concludes our consent items today. Are there any questions, concerns, Commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve consent items F1 through 11.
Have a motion?
Second.
Great. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to item G on our agenda now. Thank you. Which is a request for approval of the first reading of a fee ordinance amendments relating to the Weber County Transfer Station, construction and demolition, landfill, and residential solid waste collection. Our very own Director of Communities Services, Mr. Sean Wilkinson. Mr. Wilkinson, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Every year, we bring to you fee ordinance amendments relating to our solid waste facilities. And this year, let me just give you a quick summary of what we're talking about. We are proposing some increases at our transfer station. First, a fee for tires. We'd like to go from $1 per tire to $4 per tire. And that is because we have to pay to transport those separately. We can't just put them in with the waste that goes to the landfill. So that helps cover our cost for the transport and the handling of those tires. Televisions and computer monitors, we'd like to increase $1 from $4 to $5 per item. And special handling loads, we'd like to increase from $65 to $75 per load. Out at our construction and demolition landfill, the biggest change is that we would like to increase our tipping fee from $18 per ton to $28 per ton. That came at the request of our landfill operator, and we have worked with them to also increase what the county will get back, because the county gets back a certain percentage of the amount of waste that goes out there. We get a reimbursement back. So that will increase as well. In addition to that increase, we're looking at some changes to the minimum load fee. That will be $20 for loads that are less than, $20 for loads that are less than 0.714 tons. The large tires that are greater than 24.5 inches in diameter will go from $25 to $50 per ton. Dead animals will be a $25 per load fee in addition to the applicable weight fee. Mobile homes or trailers that are brought out there will be $300 each. Contaminated soils that we can use as cover material will be $18 per ton. There will be no charge for clean fill dirt that is brought to that landfill. and then a recycling, removal, and transport fee. So sometimes we get refrigerators, furnace AC units, other things like that. We have now set an amount, because if the person that drops those off does not take them back, we have to take them because we can't landfill those items. So there will be a transport fee to take those to the appropriate facility for disposal. And then finally, we are adjusting the fee schedule for our residential solid waste collection and disposal services in both western Weber County and the Uinta Highlands, as well as, so that's with Republic Services, and then with waste management in the Ogden Valley. As part of this, the county has worked hard, and based on the revenue that we've received from our administrative fee, we feel like we can reduce that fee to save these residents some money. So in the Ogden Valley, we would decrease that fee from $2.61 per month down to $2 per month. And out in western Weber County in the Uinta Highlands, we would reduce that fee from $3.12 per month down to $2 per month. That way, both areas are now paying the same administrative fee, and we're reducing both of those. With these adjustments, and based on the contractual increases, customers in western Weber County and the Uinta Highlands will see an overall decrease in their quarterly bills, so $2.77 in western Weber County and $2.83 in the Uinta Highlands. And the Ogden Valley customers will see a small increase, less than they received last year. That will be $1.14 per quarter. And again, those differences are based on the annual increases charged by the companies providing those services. So Commissioners, those are the changes that we are proposing at this time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Being in your portfolio, Commissioner Frohr, I'll invite you to have any comments if you have.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. So first off, the increases you see for tires and refrigerators and everything else, that's something that's been discussed over the past couple of months. And as the policy was discussed, these fees were discussed, we looked at other landfills. We felt that we were, in most cases, significantly behind other landfills for these type of uses. I mean, these large tires become really problematic. That cost us money. So really, we're just trying to make sure that it doesn't cost the taxpayers of Weber County additional money for these items that are dropped off. We want the contractors or the person that drops those off to pay the full cost. I think it's a fair arrangement. Regarding the reduction, I mean, that's just another example. When we put that admin fee in, has it been 2 years now, Sean?
It's been 3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
When we put that time flies when you're having fun. But when we put that admin fee, we talked about it back then, Chair Harvey, as you remember, that we wanted to make sure that we were covered, but any time that we felt that it exceeded what we needed to administer, we're going to drop it, which is exactly what we did. Now, so the reduction for that admin fee is a true cost savings to the people that are served by Lower Weber County, Upper and Uinta Highlands, obviously. The 3% increase is obviously out of our purview, but if you balance the two, it's a small increase. And again, it's just another example of what we do and what Sean and his group does in making sure that this is a well-managed transfer station and that we're looking very closely at the dollars that we're charging for those services. So I think it's a good move.
Thank you, Commissioner Frohr. Commissioner Bolos, any questions? I'll just, Sean, I want to compliment you and the team. You've had some different moving parts out there, including employees, but you've been able to manage this enterprise fund for less dollars. This is basically as efficient as government can run, especially with some of the reductions. It equals really a tax decrease because of the work that you're doing. And so every person who creates waste in every home that uses these services will see that, and that's wonderful. And then the other side is only the users, the contractors are the ones that would pay for that, so only those who contribute. So this represents a great balance.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work on that. You've done a wonderful job, And this is, I know it's not been easy, but it's been worth it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for this first reading.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to make a motion to approve the first reading of fee ordinance amendments relating to the Weber County Transfer Station, construction and demolition landfill, and the residential solid waste collection and disposal fees as discussed by Mr. Sean Wilkinson this morning.
Great. Have a motion?
Second.
Second, great. Place that motion for vote. Again, this is just the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll look forward to seeing that again another time on a second reading. Thank you. Item 2 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and iLookabout for the acquisition and maintenance of change detection software. The best assessor in all the land, John Ulibarri, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate that. Yes, we are requesting the Commission approve a contract between Weber County Corporation and iLookabout. What the service iLookabout provides, it is a change detection software. So in essence, what it does is it will use our aerial photography that we have and then take our building sketches that we have in our camera system and overlay those sketches on top of their aerial photograph. If the sketch matches the photograph within certain parameters, they'll code it as green so we don't have to look at it again. And if it exceeds certain parameters, it will mark it as a parcel that we need to review. The advantage we have here is it will reduce our production requirements essentially by a great deal, because currently what we are required to do by law is look at every single parcel at least once every 5 years, whether it's correct or not. This will allow us just to look at the ones where there's a possible error, not that there is an error, but a possible error. So in an effort to keep costs of the taxpayers low, we're paying for this program and maintenance through reduction in force via attrition. And so it's, in the long run, it will save the taxpayers of Weber County money. Our 10-year ROI that we calculated was 19%. So in 10 years, we will have made 19% of the upfront costs. So I'm happy to take any questions you have about the program.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, question? Commissioner Bolus, any comments?
No.
Commissioner Faur?
No?
Then I'll look for a motion from either one of the two of you.
Make a motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and iLookabout.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Commissioners, the next 3 items are going to be given by our General Manager at the Golden Spike Event Center, Mr. Duncan Olson. We'll hear these, why don't you place all 3 of these at once, Mr. Olson, in the efforts of efficiency and time, but
Okay.
we'll vote on them separately. The first one, Commissioners, is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Utah Cutting Horse Association for the UCHA Fall Cutting Futurity and Aged event. It's to be held out at the Golden Spike Event Center. In fact, all of these are going to be held out at the Golden Spike Event Center. The next one is a request for a contract by and between Weber County and the UCHA, or the Utah Cutting Horse Association, for another cutting event. And the third one is for the Intermountain Icebreaker High School Rodeo Invitational Rodeo. Mr. Olson, why don't you take each one of those, please?
Absolutely. So it's kind of funny that these are the contracts that are together today, because they're probably 2 of our biggest hitting revenue generators that we do all year.
Customers, too.
Yeah. So the difference between the first 2, one's the fall show and one's the spring show. We give a little bit more sponsorship and break in some of our facility costs for the fall show. And then we don't really give any break for the spring show. But they bring in almost $100,000 in stall revenue alone. And that's not to mention the food and other things that we get, as well as the economic impact. So that's the cutting horse, the first 2. And then the third one's the icebreaker. It's one of our favorite events every year. Last year it was estimated to generate about $500,000 of economic impact, while we had kids from 19 states and Canada represented. It's one of my favorite events every year, to come and see the high-level cowboys that are up and coming, and so that's just our deal with Broken Heart. He does the rodeo, the stock, handles all that stuff, and we handle the rest.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners? Hearing none, I'll take a point of privilege to comment on those. I'm really happy what you've done, Mr. Olson, with regards to the UCHA. Most people, and I'll just remind you, most people already know that the cutting horse industry is the second highest generating revenue behind horse racing in the United States. Most of the people who participate are CEOs, owners, presidents of their own companies or organizations. They fly into the Ogden Airport or drive, they're very high hotel, car rental, meal. I mean, just a real high-end group of people that come in. The economic impact on just these two events alone are far in excess of $2 million, and that we'll see tourism tax generated from that. They're just great tourism-generating events for our community here, and this is fantastic that we enjoy the facility like we do to do this. Appreciate you doing that. The Icebreaker Rodeo is a rodeo that was developed. We're going on almost 10 years. I think this is the 9th year.
No, we're 11.
It's 11. Sorry, boy, how time flies. We generated this rodeo back then to make sure that the high school kids had a warm-up. It's like spring baseball or preseason football. This is preseason rodeo, so to speak. So they all can come in and you heard the number of states, the surrounding states of kids that come in, and of course they bring families, and again, another huge economic impact for our facility as it relates to tourism. So we're fortunate to have those perpetuated out there, and thanks to you, Duncan, please pass on to your staff what a wonderful job they've done. This is a lot of work, represents a ton of time. These stalls will be, when you have like a hotel, when one person checks out and someone else checks in, the room has to be cleaned, and the same is true with a stall. The cleaning process is different in a stall than it is a hotel room, but it's still the same. And by the way, do you still load out there for people who are interested in having some kind of? So for those people who want to bed their gardens in some fresh shavings with some additional nutrient for their gardens, we'll load you out there if you need a place for some planed shavings.
Absolutely.
So, commissioners, for item number 3, I'll look for a motion to approve, actually.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Utah Cutting Horse Association for the fall show as presented by Mr. Olson.
Great, I have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I'll also entertain a motion for item 4.
Move to approve contract by and between Weber County and Utah Cutting Horse Association for the spring show as presented by Mr. Olson.
That's correct. And
Second.
second, great. Place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. And the third one.
Motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Broken Heart Rodeo Company to hold the Intermountain Icebreaker High School Invitational Rodeo.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This is for item, I said the third presentation, but this is the 5th item on the agenda. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell, if you'll start coming up, this is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Q Energy for the methane mitigation project. Our Economic Development Director, Ms. Stephanie Russell.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is an extension of the already existing pilot program that we're currently running. We've had an incredible amount of success with this project. Just as a recap, we are partnering with Q Energy, which they have a very unique form of technology which harvests methane out of landfills and converts it into energy. They've been tracking this project for the last 3 or 4 months since its implementation at our closed landfill. And they have approached us about expanding this pilot. And currently they're capturing about 5% of the methane that's coming off of this landfill and converting it into renewable energy. They would like to harvest the other 95% that is existing in this landfill. This is a great opportunity to continue this project and continue piloting this project. It would involve us just expanding the pad that the technology is currently on. It is very minimal and not very invasive. So we have a contract in front of you to expand this operation and continue this pilot and continue tracking this process.
Great, thank you, Ms. Russell. Commissioners, this basically with regards to cost to the county, we basically have to go open up a few more valves out there and just expand. And you know, you've seen the footprint of that existing pad out there. It's next to nothing. It's about the size of a closet in most people's homes, so it's virtually nothing. Any questions on this contract for Ms. Russell? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I'd move to approve the contract between Weber County and Q Energy for the methane mitigation project with a comment.
Please.
So I just want to thank Stephanie for the work she's done to bring this great company. It's really an opportunity for the county, for the citizens of the state, that that methane was not being used. In fact, it was harming the environment. It goes up in the atmosphere, and now we have the opportunity to take that methane and put it to a good use. And we're just very fortunate that this is a local company. And I believe both of you have been out there to meet with these people. So we're really setting the standards. And I don't know, is there anybody else in the state that's doing this with methane?
No, nobody in the state's doing this. And we anticipate in the next 3 to 5 years that not just from a state perspective, but a federal government, that there'll be some legislation that regulates this and that puts some mechanisms in place. Weber County will be ahead of that as it comes to regulating how you dispose of methane from these types of closed landfills. They're one of the biggest offenders, more so than any other methane generating products is the closed landfills. And we're actually, Sean and I are actually looking at a couple different sites in the county, partnering with some of the other cities to start putting this program into place all over the county.
Good.
Great.
So just another example of what we do in Weber County to show the other 28 counties what they should be doing for the environment and other things. So
Thank you, Mr.
that's my remarks.
Thank you. I'm entertaining right now a motion. I'll entertain a second.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Thank you, Ms. Russell. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Mendoza?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Rod?
It's going to be me.
Easy, boy. Hold on a minute for the record.
Scott passed it on to me.
Great. This is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Intermountain Testing Service, Inc. for special inspection services associated with the construction of the new Weber Morgan Children's Justice Center. Our Director, Rod Layton of the CJC.
Corrector.
Welcome, Rod.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the time and service you've given. We sure appreciate
Well,
you.
there's a whole lot. They called me the other day about the groundbreaking and said, how many shovels do you want? And so I started to add the list, and I had more shovels than everybody at Home Depot and Lowe's. I said, there's not enough shovels. So there is a lot of people involved in this process, not just me.
That's great. Thank you. Go ahead.
So as you know, we've contracted with Wadman Construction to do the project, but in order to do that, we have to contract with a special inspection group, when that's Intermountain. So they will come in and do the special inspections, such as the bolt placement, the asphalt, concrete, different things like that. So I'm here to request approval of that contract between Intermountain and Weber County to do those inspections. Cost is $6,500. We put it out for bid to numbers. Scott did in Mendoza, and this was definitely the cheapest one and the best way to go. And Weber County has a lot of confidence in this company, so we're here to request that approval of that contract.
Thank you, Mr. Layton. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Layton or regarding this project?
None.
None for me.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Intermountain Testing Services as explained by Mr. Layton.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Layton.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'm going to now move into a public hearing. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our public meeting and convene a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. This is the first reading. Item number 2 on our public hearing is a first public hearing for the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG program. We have our own, very own Chad Meyerhofer. Wow. Great to have you with us. Chad, go ahead.
Thanks, Commissioner Harvey, and good morning, Commissioners. Just to make sure that I cover everything through this public hearing, I want to just bear with me for a little bit. I'm going to read through these just to make sure that I get everything in this hearing. So, as you stated, Commissioner Harvey, this is the required first public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Program. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide citizens and pertinent information about the Community Development Block Grant Program and to allow for discussion of possible applications for the 2024 funding cycle. The grant money must be spent on projects benefiting primarily low and moderate income persons. The Wasatch Front Regional Council, in which Weber County is a member, is expected to receive approximately $1 million in this new program year. All eligible activities that can be accomplished under this program are identified in the CDBG Application Policies and Procedures Manual, and interested persons can review it at any time. Several of the eligible activities listed included examples such as construction of public works and facilities, example water and sewer lines, fire stations, acquisition of real property, provisions of public services such as food banks and homeless shelters. Also eligible are loan programs for private businesses, which would then hire low-income persons and homeowners. The unincorporated county does not currently have any active grant projects, but in the past the county has, as a whole, sponsored the Weber Housing Authority in a project that offers incentives for first-time home buyers. In the past, Weber County has also received grants for modifications of restrooms for the Weber County Library to bring them more in compliance with the ADA standards, and an emergency housing rehabilitation project that was administered through the Weber County Housing Authority, developing ADA-compliant campsites, installing ADA-compliant door hardware at the fairgrounds, installing storm drains to low to moderate income communities to reduce flooding, and installing wheelchair ramps at street intersections to make pedestrian sidewalks more accessible, as well as sponsoring non-profit agencies such as Your Community Connection, Ogden Weber Community Action Agency, and Catholic Community Services, and others. The county has handed out its capital investment plan as part of the regional consolidated plan, and this list shows which projects the county has identified as being needed in the community. I was not contacted by any nonprofit agencies who are at the CDBG How to Apply workshop that would like the county to sponsor them and would like to submit a pre-application for a grant. The Weber Housing Authority was represented at the How to Apply workshop, but I do not believe they're making an application this year. And so this year, the county, and the reason why we're holding this public hearing, the county is looking at doing a project to try to do some ADA upgrades to the elevator out at the ice sheet. So that's one of the projects that we're looking at pursuing and possibly make an application for this year. So with that being said, any questions I can answer?
Commissioners, questions for Mr. Meyerhofer?
No, none for me.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner.
Appreciate that. Hold on, just don't go too far. We're going to move to item number 3 on this public hearing, and that's the opportunity for the public to make comments pertaining to the CDBG that was just presented by Mr. Meyerhofer. Persons in the room, anyone like to make a comment? Ms. Bingham, persons online? We'll move on then, which is a request for a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene a public meeting.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you. We'll now take action on that public hearing. Commissioners, I've spoken with Ms. Rollins. This is a great project up at the ice sheet, and it is certainly worthy, hopefully meets the qualifications to be submitted. So I entertain a motion on this item.
So Commissioner Harvey, I don't think there's really necessarily an action that needs to be done other than to proceed with the application
Very
process,
good.
So.
Thank you. Sound good, Mr. Crockett? Perfect, thank you. Proceed forward.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thanks. You know, I got to tell you, sorry, another point of privilege. You know, when things really go south with water and things are flowing downhill at a rate that we can almost unsustainable, I want you to know that it's Mr. Meyerhofer that's up most of the nights turning valves, checking things, working with other local municipalities to make sure that water gets safely all the way out to the Great Salt Lake. this, what he just presented today, is just one of the other many things that he does and has done for the county for decades. You are an asset to this organization. Thank you so much, Chad. We sure appreciate you.
Well, thanks, Commissioner Harvey. I really appreciate that. Just to let you know, I have a lot of help making me look good.
We'll look forward to your continued 20 or 30 years of service here. Thank you. Okay. Item number I, I'm going to go to commissioner comments now before we go to item J. Any comments? Commissioners, will move then to item number J, which is a request for a motion for a closed session to discuss pending or imminent litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Great, I'll place that motion for vote. Mr. Brandt, motion to go to closed session?
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Bolos,
Aye.
Chair Harvey.
Aye, great. We will come out and present any, if and any findings after that.
All right.
I'll entertain a motion for adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you.
These mine? Here it is. What are these for? Oh, the circuit.
Wait, those are mine.
You're right.